Welcome to another interesting session. If someone say that we are live, yes, I have a couple of we are live updates from here. So thank you everyone, and welcome to this session once again. This is the second live webinar that we are going to be hosting at Leader Mentor for interested applicants who wants to go for a scholarship study for their master's degree program and a PhD option as an HND holder. The first session was a general session that had, I think, three major scholars and, of course, the founder of Lead and Mentor, Mr. Sharif Lamiri, and myself. And this is like an advancement of that session, or let's say a follow up on that session, where we are going to be doing a DIY. We've not even started. Someone is already asking question. Is here reminding? So please take a chill pill. So we are getting to that part. So every questions that you guys have, we'll get to that part. So please. Okay, guys. Apologies for that breaking transmission network. I had issues around YouTube Live. Can you guys hear me now? I believe that people should be able to hear me live now. All right, so I'm bringing the speakers in now so that should it be that my network times out, one of them can start can start the session and then we'll be able to. So there won't be any delay whatsoever going forward. So yes, thank you very much. I believe you guys can hear me, and for the mentioned in the introduction, this is like a follow-up session to our prior session that was held today, that shows us how to application live. So while we are trying to do that, we just have Mr. Sharif Lamidi. How much of the session we can fit in and salvage. So Mr. Sharif too is experiencing similar challenge with his internet connection. If I can hear me right now. Apologies for asking you guys to signify almost every time. So let's anybody that is having network connectivity issues amongst the speakers to please maybe go off the video for now. So when you want to speak, we are going to bring you back into the session with a video. So quickly, as I've been mentioning, so today's session we are expecting Mr. Sharif to kickstart, but unfortunately we are both having network issues. Introduce today's session and also helping us to nurse and develop our research interests for those who have who have a research interest, and for those who don't even have anything that they already have as research interest and they want to pursue a graduate program, scholarship in the US, Canada, Europe. So some of the things that is going to be introducing us to will help us understand how to find our supervisors, find schools that have program, and those program, and how can this program can be used to resonate with our career interests, our pursuits, and a number of that. So while we are waiting for Mr. Sharif to get on board, I'll move on to Mr. Mubarak Olojo to quickly take us through how to plan application documents in application dates and their deadlines. As we all know, application, just like every other endeavor, has certain parameters that need to be met. How can we make the most out of these parameters, and how can we ensure that the documents that we are putting forth are the things that will get us through the door and get us that much needed scholarship? So this is what Mr. Mubarak Olojo is going to be
Hello, good day, everyone. So I'll be talking on, important dates and how to go about your, application, how to start, how to kickstart the whole thing, getting your documents and everything ready. So basically, the very
the
first thing.
scholarship program.
So basically, the very first thing you need to do is just, get your documents ready. By getting your documents ready, your transcript and your CV, if you get your transcript and your CV ready, yeah, that is how you kickstart the whole thing. By getting your document, your transcript and CV ready, you can start by preparing a cold email. That is when you search for your school for schools that you intend to, apply to. You've already gone through the schools. You've seen that they have your program that you are interested in. They have the research area that you actually want to do or pursue for your PhD or master's program. So that is when from there can identify the professors for each schools, pick out those that actually that where their research interest aligns with yours. That is when you can now say, okay, let me prepare a code email for this particular professor, so that I can code email the professor. Preparing your code email is something that is very, very crucial, because that is an email that captivates the interest of the professor. When you send the code email, it's whatever the code email entails is what we move the professor and make sure the professor is interested in you. Then another thing to look for is we we can also take a look at schools that you intend to apply to, their graduate fair, and send emails to graduate coordinator telling them you are willing to apply to their schools, and if they can give you application fee waivers, so you can have ways to get around the application fee, because most application fee cost $50, 60, 70, or up to $100, depending on the type of schools you're applying to. But most schools give fee waivers through graduate fair and virtual fair also. So all these things, or sending emails to graduate coordinator, you can always get your fee waiver from there, and which can give you a good start to start the application of the school. So another thing to be really, really important about talk about is the date and application deadline. So this date and application deadline is very crucial for you to note them while applying. So depending on the schools you are applying to, depending on your department you are applying to, and depending on the session you are applying to, there are different dates and deadline for each application cycle. So I think we have summer, fall, and spring sections. Some schools have winter, but not all schools. The three cycle is summer, fall, and spring. Though most students target fall as application cycle, because that is when most openings are available in each lab, and in some schools when they have funding, so that they can say, oh, I can take students in for this semester and actually fund them. But all these things can also happen in spring and summers too. But the large bulk of it happens in fall. And for fall application cycle, if you want to be considered for funding and assistantship, most schools have their deadline for at least about, and 50% to 60% of schools have their deadline coming up by December 1, December 15, or January 1 or January 15. So those are priority deadlines. That is what they call them. If you want to be considered for admission, for funding or assistantship in the department or the school, for that set of schools, the priority deadline are that date, which is December 1, December 15, January 1, or January 15. Some schools also still have different deadlines, maybe, and you will still be considered for funding or assistantship, depending on the school you're applying to. So it's always very crucial to find this out on on the school website or the department's website. It will be stated there that if you want to be considered for assistantship, you need to be able to submit your documents before or on the priority deadline date. And by submitting all these documents, you need to be able to, submit all your recommendations, your transcript, depending on the document they are requesting for. All these things, you need to prepare them ahead of that priority deadline. So it's like you're working towards something. So you work towards that particular date and, that particular deadline, because, yeah, your goal is to apply to the school, get admission, and also get an assistantship or some form of funding for you to be able to progress in your school for the graduate school. Then there are some deadline aside from the priority deadline: February 15, March 1st, March 15, April 1, April 15. But all these deadline, they might be there depending on the school. You don't want to apply to school that will consider you for fall admission by April 15. Definitely, people would have, fill up the space of that funding that is available. Because from what I've observed, most professors, when they are in need of students, they don't always want it to be a, like something that would be ethic to find, just, going through a lot of applications and all. They want to see, they really wish to see the right candidate at the right time. Okay, you send me a cold email. I see that, yeah, you're very interesting. Yeah, organize a Zoom meeting or a Zoom interview with the person, and have a discussion for about 30 minutes where you talk about your strengths, and the professor will also ask you one or two questions regarding your undergraduate or whatever your research interest is. So that way the professor is already, knowing what you are capable of one way or the other, and okay, yeah, this person can actually kickstart a PhD in my lab and do some research that we are working on. So because you already have the background knowledge and all. I feel like that is for fall. But for summer, if you want to apply for summer, is usually very few. Most schools don't take classes in summer, so it's always or mostly research. If you are coming in summer, then basically what you are doing is research. You're coming in just to do research for that summer semester. So then you start coursework by 4. But for a professor to bring you in for summer, it shows that, oh, there's a research on the ground that you really need to start working on, or you need really to start getting familiar with, so that you can kickstart everything faster and not to delay. But the main coursework would start in 4. That is where that happen. And you can the application date for summer mostly is always like October, November, around that time, because you're applying ahead for summer. That is before fall comes in. That is when you start applying for summer. Almost the same application cycle with spring. If you are applying for spring and or summer, they always state it there in some schools for their application. So, and this, they have priority deadlines too. Some schools are September 1, some schools are September 30, most schools are October 1. Like you can't, most schools don't even accept application for summer or spring after October 15, because they will need to decide on your application. They will need to see if you are going to need funding or not. If there is funding available, they give you funding. Then before the whole process of you getting your visa interview and all, it takes a lot of time. And some schools don't even issue I-20 after some dates. They'll tell you, because we can't issue you I-20 now, because we know that it's very, very hard for you to get a visa interview date and ultimately come to the US. You won't be able to meet up. So that is why even these schools are using these priority application deadlines, so that when you get the deadline, when you meet the deadline, we can easily decide on your admission faster. Then if you are in need of funding and we have the funding, we can give it to you. Then by that would make sense for you to, there will be a lot of time for you to prepare yourself for the interview and, ultimately get to the US faster without any delay before coming to school. So because they realize that most students always request for additional time to resume. For example, the resumption date might be August 21, but they realize that most students will have to say, "Oh, my interview date is still very close or is still very far. I can't meet up with that August 21. Can you help me adjust for like 2 weeks? Then for 2 weeks I'll be able to do my interview and all." So if you're adjusting for 2 weeks, if the school is even giving you that opportunity, it shows that you are going to miss out on 2 weeks of classes. One way or the other, you're going to mix out on a lot of things. So it's just a way of the school making sure all their students are fine. You are ready before you get into the school. They don't want you to come in and start rushing everything one way or the other. So these are the importance of the priority application deadlines and dates. And I don't know, if you have started with planning your documents right, then and ensuring that your recommenders are ready and prepared, that you are planning to start an application for the US or UK application cycle, then most of them understand this. Just ensure that you keep up with them and you meet up with the priority deadline, and you'll be fine. I think basically that is what I need to cover. So if there are any questions regarding that, then you can always drop questions in the comment section.